lot of people always ask me, how was the food when I come home from my mission? Just because they gain a knowledge that Polynesian food is super good. And it really is. There most of the time on my mission, it consisted of meat, and they always eat chicken or pork or out there. And my first couple areas, I was actually close to the ocean in Samoan, and that was on the kind of by the wharf area where we would take the ferry from one island to another. And in that area, we would mostly get fish and crab and lobster, and that was really good because I really love seafood. And there was a couple other things that you'd see on the plate and realize I have no idea what that is, and this is new to me. A huge thing I didn't eat before my mission when I got out there was octopus, and I've always heard that it's super chewy, and a lot of people don't like it, or they do like it. There's no in between, and so I was definitely going to try it. I wasn't going to not miss that opportunity. But the way they do is they cook it in coconut milk, which is kind of interesting because they use coconut milk a lot out there. And when I first tried it, it was super chewy, but that coconut milk actually made it taste really good. And I remember I ate my the first bowl of octopus, and my companion looked over like he was impressed that I would eat that because he wouldn't touch it, and he was from Samoa, so it was pretty funny to see that happen. There's actually a lot of people grow their own food. They all have their plantations out there, and that's because the Samoan saying is that you can live off the land, and technically they do. They have their own plantations out there where they grow different sorts of vegetables, and then they raise different animals such as chicken and pigs, and it's crazy to think that they do all this, and they don't care about money. They don't need money. They can just live off that land. And the main plant that they use is taro. And taro's sort of like a potato, but a little bit thicker when you eat that. So, and I love taro. And what they do is they use, so they'll dry out the coconut once they crack it open and drain all the liquid out, and they'll let it dry up. And then they'll use the skin, the white skin on the inside, and they'll scrape it off. And then they use sort of like a strain or a straw sort of fixture to squeeze all the juice out of the skin that they scraped out from the coconut. And so they'll use that as a juice, and they'll mix it with a little bit of salt, and they usually use that as a dressing for the taro, and they use it for the octopus as well. So they usually, I would say that's sort of the main dish that they use. They call it pe'e. So, and it's really good with everything. It may not sound good, coconut milk and then salt, but it makes everything taste delicious out there. When I was serving in Sava'i back in Neafu, in that back part of the island, I remember, because in Samoa, for the mission, they would feed the missionaries twice a day. They would feed them for breakfast in the morning and dinner at night. And I remember the meals were always heavy in the morning and at night. So you'd pretty much be having two dinners instead of breakfast and dinner. And I remember that area that we were serving in, we would always have fried chicken, pork, chicken soup, hot dogs, just all this heavy food in the morning. And then at night you would get pork, this huge pig that they would cook for you, place it in front of you, fish, and they also cook bananas out there. They boil the bananas, which is really nice, and they drizzle that pe'e on there, that coconut sauce. And I remember me and my companion, because the bishop assigns the families the meals for that week, and I think for a month straight we would just get fried chicken every time, because that's what people thought missionaries love, was fried chicken. And it got to the point where I probably couldn't eat much more fried chicken. And I remember my companion, because I was still fresh, went up and told the bishop, if there's any way, if we could get anything else other than fried chicken, that would be awesome. And then it was kind of embarrassing, because the bishop, and with Samoa, the people of Samoa, they're not afraid to speak their mind, and they'll they have a sense of humor that's undescribable about them, because they're all about joking and having a great time. And I remember the bishop got up in sacrament meeting and said, the missionaries are sick of fried chicken. Let's get them something else. And we're like, well, I guess that's going to work now. And then I think for the next month or two that I was there, we just got straight pork, which wasn't that much healthier, but it was a good change. Water was kind of scarce, and it's super expensive out there in the stores they have. So I know that, I think in other missions that I've heard from other friends that the three main sodas they had was Coke, Fanta, and Sprite that you could choose from. And it's crazy to think that the soda was less expensive than the water. I think the water bottles out there went from $6 to $8 compared to a soda that went for $1 to $2. And I remember this one time where me and my companion, we didn't want any soda. We just needed water, and it rains a ton over there. That's why it's so green. And the people of Samoa, they have these huge tanks on the side of their house that when the sheet metal collects all that rain, it'll drag into the pipes and it'll go into this huge tank that they have. And so we would use that tank to shower as well. And then we would also use it to drink water, and which was crazy because I've never drinking rainwater or any sort of water other than, from the faucet or anything like that. And so, it was a blessing from the Lord, because we were praying for a way to, find some water for us. That way we could collect and take water bottles with us while proselyting, because sometimes a lot of missionaries do get dehydrated. And that's the thing they emphasize in our mission, was staying hydrated, because it does get hot out there. And, as long as you're preparing yourself, like the Lord says, He'll give you that strength to do all things. And so, just praying and fasting and then finding this way that we could get water helped us to, go about our day proselyting and keeping our energy up to help do the Lord's work.